Obviously, Andy Whitehead, the chair of the Taranaki Coastal Community Board. We'll move to you, Sharlee.
Tēnā koutou, ko Sharlee Mareikura aho. My name is Sharlee and I'm also a member of the Taranaki Coastal Community Board. Ngā mihi.
And Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Sinclair, member of the Taranaki Coastal Community Board.
And Aarun.
Kia ora tātou, I'm Aarun Langton, the council member, appointed member on the community board.
Then we have Fran, who's our support and
Good day, Fran Levings, and I'm your Community Development Advisor for the Coastal Ward.
we have Liam from the council.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Liam Dagg, Group Manager Environmental Services. I guess I'm the Senior Officer for Council.
We have Sara from administration doing the recording, making sure we do everything right.
Hi.
And then Megan, quick introduction. Oh, you're on mute, Megan.
Hey! Sorry, Megan Dymond, Chair for the newly started Taranaki Emergency Management Group.
And then we have Urs.
Kia ora tātou, name's Urs Signer, we live in Pungarehu. Kia ora.
Cool. Well, yeah, I've skipped a little bit, so I was intending to welcome you all here, but I started with introductions. But enya iwi hui hui nai no mai haere mai ki tini hui ni te mihi nui kia koutou mo te haere ngā mai kia tua toka te kōpapa o tini hui nore rā tēnā koutou katoa. So welcome to you all, and if we open with our karakia, please. Kia runga, kia raro, kia roto, kia waho, really mai. Haere mai. Hey, really hope haere mai. Okay, so call for apologies. We have an apology from Benita Bigham. If somebody would like to, was there any other apologies?
Yes, Phil Nixon as well.
Nixon apology. If somebody would like to move those apologies, please.
Sharlee Mareikura, happy to move.
Cool. And Aarun was happy to second. Cool. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Cool. Right. So if we move into open forum, so we have two members of the public here. So first up we have Megan Dymond from the Emergency Management Group, and Megan's here to give us some more information and answer questions around the funding application. And also I've asked Megan if she could just give us a brief update on what was involved and what happened during some of the emergency management that was happening during those heavy rainstorms. So welcome, Megan.
Hi, guys. Firstly, with those floods, the council, it was a huge help. You have to excuse me, I'm on the tail end of bronchitis and it's doing my head in. There was quite a large number of homes affected, and with the first flood that came through, when the second one was due to come through, I was contacted by the council in regards to sandbags and sand that had been donated. So that got the ball rolling really, really quickly, with ensuring that people that had been infected by the first lot that came through, that we could try and protect them a little more. There was, I think, if I remember rightly, over the 2 weekends, something like 300 incoming and outgoing calls between myself, the council, and the people that were providing sand and sandbags and that type of thing. I didn't actually realise until later on just how many phone calls were made between, for example, Glenn Hanson and myself. Glenn was stoked with the amount of information that the council was able to get from our group in regards to the flooding and things that were happening out here. as you'd know, there was a lot of areas that were cut off. For example, if I had to go out and do a check of my area, I wouldn't have been able to do a full check of that area because I was cut off from part of it as well. And the area that I currently patrol is actually where I live as well. So yeah, being cut off from the main areas is sort of a biggie with us, with our group, and that's something we've been working towards. Making sure that there's somebody on sort of every block between Pihama out to Te Kiri, out to Warrior and back again, to check in the event of a major event, people that need help get the help. Sharlee, you'd know we've assisted quite a lot over the last couple of weeks with the food bank, with the ministry food parcels for COVID positive homes, and doing a big push with RATS tests. And we're in the process at the moment of trying to set up workshops to particularly push towards the elderly and the correct use of the RATS tests and that type of thing as well. So yeah, it's all guns a blazing.
And so, yeah, you have an application for funding. So can you just give us a rundown on what that is, what's required, and how that is going to help in the event of the major?
No worries. As I said, just with flooding, just with minor flooding, we got various parts of the community, or the district, sorry, were cut off from each other. If, for example, we were to have an eruption, a major earthquake, if our bridges are affected, trying to get the teams such as Timo, Civil Defence, through to be able to look after our community within the first couple of days are going to be majorly impacted, to say the least. So what we've been pushing for, the Sinclair's recreation centre now in Taranaki has been a designated civil defence evacuation area for some years now. However, there is no current way to supply power to the building if power in the area is knocked out. In the event, like if a big event happens, there's going to be no power. If there's power, it means that God's watching over our district. So what we are pushing for is to have a generator plug installed into Sinclair's when an event happens and we have to evacuate people to go and basically live in the community centre until Timo can arrive. We can make sure that they have power for food, they have power for warmth, showers, feeling like some sort of a home. Because it's not just their physical well-being, it's their mental well-being as well. Down the track, we will look at other evacuation points around the area, such as Rahutu, Pihama, Te Kiri, all those areas. But at right now, our main focus is Taranaki because that's where the majority of our community are. I hope that makes sense. I was going to jump online and actually find out how many people would be affected by a big event such as that in this area, how many people we would be looking to try and help. And I'm so sorry, I got caught up with the bank this morning and I didn't get a chance to do it. But I do believe, I think Opanaki's population is somewhere around the 1,500 mark. I could be wrong, completely wrong. So yeah, if you added another 1,000 or so onto that, you probably have the right number of the people that were wanting to make sure feel safe enough in a major event.
Yep, no, that's awesome. So yeah, well, is there any questions from any of the community board members? Liz, you got your hand up?
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Liz.
Just a question. This is just for the plug for the thing. It's quite a large amount of money to provide for just that. Have you had a second quote, or is that the only quote that you've got?
No, we have had a second quote. We had one from Corkle's Electrical Services as well, which is a little bit more, which is why we submitted the Sinclair's one. I've been trying to contact Sinclair's in regards to getting a quote for a 5-day hireage of a generator. in an evacuation event, and I'm still having trouble getting hold of that information. However, I've spoken to somebody that's quite closely associated with Kōkū, and he has said that he's sure he can come in with maybe a cheaper quote, and also the possibility of free hireage of a generator in an event. If it comes down to it, that's definitely the way we'd be looking to go. That way, all we've got to cover is the gas.
Okay. When I get back to New Zealand, I'll contact you about that, because yeah, I have a generator too.
Oh, yay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank
I'm
you.
just thinking from evacuation point of view for Pihama, I do have electricity loss of power.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're looking to do in the future too. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
Aaron, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan. I'd just like to thank you and your group for the work you've done over those floods we had. Obviously, we're lucky we started getting this group together when we did, because there probably mightn't have been anything. I'd have been walking all over the place. So, my sort of like, obviously, you're going to have a review on what you've done. Is there any major gaps you've seen so far that you could sort of feedback to us that in the future we may have to look at?
Oh.
And to do with the response and keeping the whole area safe, just mainly around power and bridges.
Yeah, it's definitely power, bridges, telephone communications is probably the biggest at the moment. The Kahui Road Tower, I'm a Spark customer, and oh my God, if I could get change, I would, but they're all the same. They're all run by the same tower.
We're the same.
Yeah, I've begged Primo. Yeah, I've begged Primo. He has said he'd rather make sure he's got 100% wireless capability to all of Taranaki before he goes into mobile. So we're stuck.
Yeah.
But that is a major one, is that tower. It's been affected numerous times just in the last 6 years. Gita, it went out. The floods, I'm sure it was the floods, they went out. And then it went out again 2 weeks ago. For no apparent reason, it just stopped working. So yeah, that's a biggie. But I'm going to say too, on that, we also, as a group, we have discussed that if we do lose telecommunications, we will use the fishermen's CBs if we have to get information through to Civil Defence in New Plymouth. We'll get it there. We'll freaking catch a dinosaur and fly up if we have to, but we'll get the information there.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, cool. Sharlee, have you got anything?
Kia ora, Megan.
Kia ora.
Just wanted to say thank you for the mahi that you've been doing through the floods and also through the COVID response. This is a really valuable group to our community, a group of very few people I've heard. So thank you for everything you do. And yeah, we look forward to doing some more mahi with you guys.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
So obviously our funding, we get roughly $20,000 for our whole year, and so this would be up to half of our, or close to half. So if we couldn't meet fully, are you able to, how is there an opportunity to find the gap?
Absolutely. We're going to be doing our own fundraising. We sort of just needed to get through this little process of registering as a trust and getting the bank accounts and so on. We are currently borrowing an account from Coastal Care. We had, a bank appointment today, and they wanted some more blood, but I'm running out of blood to give to these organisations. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have an answer as to where we are with that. Hopefully we'll go. But we will be applying for funding from other organisations as well. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm sort of learning as I go. But I have been recommended to contact the Toy Foundation, so I'll be getting in touch with them as well. It's mainly been about getting this bank account and registering. That's been a major of the last few months. So, and COVID did not help.
Well, cool. So, yep, no, there's two things that we've had on our agenda for the community board. One was the telephones, and one is the the need for the sandbagging. Is there a need or an opportunity to have sandbags that are like the ones we've got at the moment are obviously going to be harder to redistribute? Is that something that you will maybe look at in the future, that we've got ones that are purpose made?
Yep. What we did after the last ones, we've still got sand and sandbags available. We've had the open Naki sand. It was at the transfer station. We did have it arranged to be moved to inside, but there was a mix-up in communication, so it's actually been moved tidily outside the transfer station now. So we do still have sand and sandbags available there, and we still have sand and sandbags available in Rahutu as well, at the Rahutu Papa. So in that case, we are prepared for next time. We may need to fill up some more bags. We have recommended to a lot of the people that receive them to actually hold on to them so that they've got them when they need them next as well. I mean, this was 2 floods at the tail end of an exceptional summer. I hate to think of what winter's going to bring. So yeah, I've definitely encouraged people to hold on to them so that they've got them ready for next time. On saying that, there's been a few of those people that were affected that have been really proactive since those flooding, and they've actually made big adjustments to their properties to try and avoid it. It's been really cool.
Awesome. Thank you. No further questions from us, is there? No. So if that's you, we can move on to Urs if he's still to give us an update.
Yeah, kia ora. Thank you, Andy. Kia ora tātou. Yeah, the floods were was full on. It was just a full on week, really. And I guess, there's another storm going to hit the east coast tomorrow. We've been talking about climate change for a long time, and we know that it's just going to get worse. And while decisions around the climate are often made in faraway countries at Hui and Glasgow or Paris, the impact's going to be felt here in the local community. So yeah, just a reminder that we need to be proactive around climate change on a local level too. We had a flood in December at Parihaka, where one house got flooded, Ngāta Wharehoka's house got flooded. And then obviously Waitangi weekend took out, flooded 4 houses, including one of the marae. And just to be clear, I'm not speaking on behalf of the PA or anything like that, just someone who was there on the day and on the week. My partner is the chairperson of the trust, and she'd be better placed, but she's not here right now. But yeah, so it was a big day. So for those who know the entrance to the PA, the river was running there, which is like 100 meters away from where the river normally runs. So it was a massive lift in water. It didn't help that the bridge, the council road and bridge, was completely clogged with trees and willows, and everything backed up from there. And we probably lost about 2 or 3 meters of bank behind one of the meeting houses at Toruanui Marae, an unstable bank that's already problematic to start with. As I said, 1 marae and three houses flooded, so it was intense. It was real intense, and but everyone was safe. That was the main thing. All the kaumātua were safe. And then there was a week of cleanup, and it was an amazing week, and brought people together and brought people to the river in a way that it probably hasn't for a while. And everyone went for a swim after doing the hard work of cleanup and really enjoying the river and making that special connection with probably the cleanest water we've seen in a long time, which is great. But groups and iwi from across Taranaki came to support. There was 50 plus people every day working, cleaning up and prepping for the next potential impact with the following weekend of the next storm. So it was it was intense. Outside of Parihaka, I know Anglers Ave got hit real bad. I'm not sure, people got flooded down there and had to evacuate. I know Mahara o Kirua, its neighbour down there, got flooded real bad. But yeah, I suppose it's just we've got to be vigilant, and for Parihaka's had discussions since around emergency management and getting the right infrastructure for floods, but also for other civil defence events where the park can be a place of refuge and make sure that everyone's safe on climate. Yeah, just maybe on a positive note to finish, I'd just like to mention that we're having our Puanga celebrations on the 11th of June, which is the annual festival that we associate with the new year, mostly focusing around mahi mara, around gardening, but also with music and speakers and activities for the kids. So 11th of June is the date set aside, and we'll be doing some promo work on the Pariaka Puanga Cairo Festival Facebook page and on our website at puanga.com. Yeah, I think that might be it. Andy, kia ora.
Yep, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and I didn't know, just before you go, is there anything that either you or Megan wanted to share about the COVID in the community, and do you feel like everybody's getting looked after, or is there more needed to be done, or yeah?
I think from my point of view, I've been trying to get into that part of the community that, for whatever reason, they don't like the government agencies, they don't trust the government agencies, they don't want to use that portal. They feel better in themselves not using that portal. So we've been trying really hard to get into that group. And obviously, people that don't have internet access and that type of thing as well. So that's probably the ones that I'm most worried about with the COVID response. But I think we've sort of peaked for this first wave out here now by the looks of it.
Fingers crossed. Right.
And yeah, and at the I think the Pariaka Papakainga Trust is mostly worked with Te Aranga, which is like the iwi collective of COVID response. So there's been really good support for whānau who had to isolate on the pa, or who've had COVID. So yeah, but the best contact there for you fellas is Vanessa Q. She's the new kai whakahaere for the Pariaka Papakainga Trust. So yeah, you might be keen to meet her at some point and connect with her. She's working full time for the PPT. And yeah, and Emily Bailey is the chair of the PPT.
Cool. Right, well, that basically brings our open forum to a close. And so, as I say, Megan, you're welcome to stick around, or you're welcome to leave at this point. But we will go carry on with our meeting. And thank you very much for the information you've shared. Right, so
No problem. I've got to go get the cows. So yes.
See you, Megan. Thank you. Right, and then, so if we can carry on with our meeting, we are on to the confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting. And so it has been brought to my attention that in that meeting, it's recorded that money was donated for the seat. We just need to make an amendment that money has been promised for a seat, but no monies have actually been received in the form of a donation. So if somebody's happy to move those minutes as true, accurate, with the amendment to read that money has been promised rather than money has already been donated, they please move those minutes. Liz has raised her hand, so Liz, I just need you to push your mute and say your name for the recording purpose, please.
Liz Sinclair.
And the seconder.
Sharlee Mareikura, happy to second.
Okay, cool. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against. No, so that one, all those that choose to abstain, none. So that is confirmed. Right, and then moving on, we now move to our open forum part. Oh, not our open forum, our funding applications. And so you would have seen there was one. So we need to move that we receive the funding, the local discretionary funding information sheet. So somebody like to move that we receive that
Sharlee
report.
Mareikura, happy to move.
Cool. And I'm happy to second that. So all those in favour, please say aye.
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 Against or abstain. So that is carried as well. So, and on that report, you'll see that our funding available at the moment is around the $17,524.72. And then on our application today, we have funding from the Emergency Management Group. Just trying to find it, which was for $9,200, if I'm correct. I can't find it, so has somebody got the exact amount there, please?
It was $9,168.95.
Okay, cool. So is there, so we can obviously choose to give that amount, give a lesser or a greater amount, or decline that application. So is there any thoughts or ideas towards an amount?
I'll go. I'll start first. As you mentioned, Andy, it's half of the funding we get. So it's a large amount to give out. It's a really worthy cause, but also they haven't really applied anywhere else yet. And I'm sure that there'll be other agencies that would like to give them some money as well. If we look at traditionally, we look at around half when people have applications, unless they're smaller ones. So I think I'm quite happy to move with 4.5 to 5, whatever other people think that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go with 5.
I'm happy to second that if Aarun is moving that as a motion.
Yeah, I'll move it as a motion. Yeah.
So that's moving 5,000 and Sharlee seconding that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So any further discussion on that from Sharlee or Aarun first?
No further from me.
Yeah, I just think it falls into line what we do with other applications, which is we keep some consistency. And there's other options for them to go out and get funding from elsewhere as well. So it's a good start.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that. It's I know we're supposed to be like the last place they come to, but sometimes it's nice to be the ones that are initiating the funding, is sort of what we did with the playground. We start something. Of course, that money that's awarded will only be. Well, is that subject to them raising all of the money? That's what I'm guessing.
Would have to be, because you can't do half a job.
Yeah. No, so that would be 5,000 subject to them obtaining.
That's my one reservation about this funding is that it is only providing the plug. It's not providing a generator. I'm just wondering if they've investigated the possibility of purchasing the generator and having the whole thing installed, because I don't think it'll be that much more than $10,000.
To get a generator that could run the events, it would be. I would be guessing $10,000 will buy me a generator that I can put on my tractor. One that would run that event centre would probably be 20 plus.
Yes, but the marginal cost, because they still will only have a plug for 10,000. That's my only reservation about this, but I'm happy to go with the $5,000 for that, not 10.
Yep. Cool. Right, so it's moved 5,000 good discussion there. With obviously, and I guess we can go back to Megan as to talk about that idea, Liz. That maybe find out the cost of purchasing the entire thing. But all those in favour that we allocate the $5,000, subject to them receiving the full funding, please say aye.
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 Aye. And
Aye.
against? And anybody choosing to abstain? Cool. Well, that one is moved and carried. So that is our only funding application, correct? There was no the Waimate West one, was that today?
It's in the next round.
Next round, cool. So now we can move on to our information reports, is that correct? I'm just trying to read through my agenda. There's no items for action. So we have a community development activity report. So I'll move that that is received by the community board. Would you like to second that?
Sharlee Mareikura, happy to second. Tēnā koe mea, Nixon.
All those in favour, please say aye. Oh yes, Phil. Welcome, Phil.
Kia ora. Yeah, sorry, I had another engagement, so good to be with you.
Cool, good to have you. So, any discussion from that community development activity report? No, obviously so the competition for the pool in Waverley, is that a similar idea to what's happening in Manaia, or they're going to do a big mural down there as well?
Yeah, they're running a competition to put a mural on the side of the wall. That's correct. And so it's open to a lot of ages, Andy. So it's a little bit different to the one at the Manaia swimming pool, where that one was through with the Manaia Primary School.
So obviously in our area, the Bowen Crescent, we've got a blessing coming up soon.
Yeah, well, yes, we will organise something once the playground is completed, and the fences will remain up until that is done, so to allow and ensure that the blessing is done prior to anyone playing on it.
Yep. And there's also talk of a disability swing in Manaia.
Yes, I've recently seen a bit of a draft from the group, and they will soon be, well, it'll be me organising a meeting with council so they can see if it will be viable and if council are okay with it going forward.
Yep. And I'm also aware the loop track has received some funding, but not enough, and so they are looking at ways that they can complete the funding needed to re-loop the loop. Because it's at the moment it's not a loop, it's a walk and back. And there's been talk of signs that have been put in place to advise people, but then being removed. Cool. So all those in favour of that funding report, was there no further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then, so next on my list is the district. I'm looking at Sara here, the district library report, because as I'm scrolling through this, is that the next one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, cool. So the district library plus report. So I'll move that is received by the Taranaki Coastal Community Board. A seconder, please. Liz, happy to second that. Any discussion on the Library Plus report?
Just through you, Chair, again, the innovation in our library team is coming out, and it's great to see. As I made comment at other community board meetings this week, it's getting to stage where it's not having a look what they're up to, it's what new innovation they've got now. And so I think it's really great to see where they've now got some board games that are there for loan, as well as all the good work they're doing around supporting people in isolation and needing help that way with click and collect and drop-offs and all those things. So yeah, big ups to that staff for the work that they're continuing to do and innovate in the community.
Cool. It looks like the Facebook page is getting plenty of attention. Right, cool. Any further comments on the library? Like to move that they are true and accurate, well, not true and accurate, but let's say aye if you're happy that that is received.
Aye.
So I see there's 53% of the population, so it's obviously pretty important out facility still. So moving on to the Environment Services Activity Report for February, March, I will move that that is received by the Taranaki Coastal Community Board. Have a seconder, please. Liz is happy to second that. Thank you. So, Liam, have you got, want to start us off with any information in there?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Happy just to make a couple of quick comments. It's 2 months worth of data in the report for February and March. I guess starting with building consents, it's good to see that they're on the increase again from, I guess, a low in January coming out of Christmas. Certainly consent volumes are on the increase. It's also pleasing to see our statutory compliance is also sort of increasing with it, which is good. So yeah, 80% and still aspiring to 100% in that space. And yeah, I guess there's been a sort of a running average total of about $8 million of building work through the month on month, and that's sort of crept up to 12 million. So there's a Marai and just our I guess usual number of houses. There's a Marai upgrade. There's about accounts for about $2 million of that. So there's that sort of work going through the books at the moment. Hara and Opanaki, as you can see from some of the diagrams, there are still the peaks. I guess they're the main population centre, and they're attracting sort of most of the development, particularly new houses. Subdivisions, again, sort of across the district, in response to a comment we got from Eltham Karponga. We're also, for the next reports, looking to translate those subdivision numbers into actual lot yield, or the numbers of lots that they're creating. And we haven't got it in the report today, but just in terms of the 23 subs that we're reporting across those 2 months, that actually translates into 113 new lots for the district, 48 in the residential area, and probably, most notably 65 in the rural zone. So sort of indicates sort of where the growth is happening. Another thing that we're also looking to report on, particularly around the fly tipping and the abandoned vehicles sort of data, is what our resolution sort of profile looks like. So we've got information about fly tipping in the months we're reporting on now. We weren't able to infringe anyone. We just went out there and cleaned them up. But in abandoned vehicles, we had far more success with quite a fair amount of infringements issued, plus impoundments. So in the next couple of subsequent reports, we'll be actually reporting that data, so you can see sort of progress in those sorts of spaces, and particularly ones that are sort of relevant to the various community groups. Probably to finish on a high note is, again, there's a lot of work being done in the environment sustainability space. There's a lot of activity in the central government and submissions on various pieces of reform, but the organic waste feasibility study is nearing sort of almost a complete state, and I think we're just setting up workshops at the moment with elected members and iwi, and the community board chairs will be invited to those workshop rounds, and I think they're coming up where are we now, April, sort of May or June, probably June most likely, for that work to be socialised, and then hopefully a policy direction coming out of that. So yeah, a lot happening in there. But happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yep. So is there any discussion from anybody? I guess, it's in there, the information's there, the focus, and especially with ERS touching on it, that 17 million tonnes of waste that's going, or 13 is going to landfill. That reducing, what is it, reusing or recycling or upcycling, because with the land, with building consent and the amount of waste that's coming from building sites, is that an issue at all, or how is that handled in our area?
Yeah, through the chair, it's certainly an issue, but it's one that's increasingly being regulated around, and New Plymouth District Council have sort of processes in place, and they're sort of preempting some actual a legislative framework that's going to make that more business as usual rather than being innovative. So yeah, that's coming along with having to assess the the embedded carbon footprint of new builds and things like that. So there's a whole range of sort of new initiatives coming into that into the building sector.
Yeah, it's good to see that we're working regionally with both New Plymouth and Stratford on finding some of those better solutions for our waste. Cool. So is there any other, yes, Liz, got the hand up.
Sorry. I do have one question. As part of the submissions to MFE, one of the things is separation of business food waste. Currently in Opunake, our businesses do not have refuse collection provided by the government. That's separately provided. And I think that's not by the government, by the council. I think that's one of the things that will have to be looked at if you want to achieve that goal. Just because I'm on the Business Association, I think that's something to be looked at in future.
Thanks, Liz. No, well, certainly the time to be having those conversations, and Rebecca's reached out to you, and you've had a conversation about a few of the aspects, and we'll certainly be considering those things in our submissions.
Just through you, Chair, I'd just like to comment, Lem, really good to see the percentage of consents issued within statutory time frame is rising, because that's certainly been a concern for a while to all of us, I know, including yourself and your team. So that's really good to see. Obviously pretty exciting what's going on as far as building, and the consents are showing it throughout our district. 2 months there, we've got just north of $21.5 million worth of construction going on, which is to me pretty big for us. 8 houses in Opunake over 2 months, and 8 in Hara, and 4 of those actually in Opunake and 4 around Opunake. So certainly a lot going on in your people part of the world, but as well as our whole district. A new house in Patia. Absolutely brilliant what's going on. So yeah, really good to see some of that coming through in this report and what's happening right throughout our district.
Excellent. Yeah, and I sort of feel that would be quite good information rather than 23 subdivisions, knowing that it's 102 actual lots. So that makes sense. Cool. Right. So all those in favour of that report being received, please say aye.
Aye.
Nobody against. And nobody chooses to abstain. So cool. So that one is carried. So we can move on to the facility usage report. So I'll remove that is received by Taranaki Coastal Community Board. If I can have a seconder, please.
Happy to second, Sharlee.
Cool, thank you. So is there any discussion? I guess with that, the half price buses, that would be the same for these, wouldn't it? I'm guessing, but yeah, because I heard them talking about it on the radio. So hopefully that'll see the numbers increased a little bit.
Yeah, just on that, Chair, I'm pretty sure it covers the connector buses. I'm sure I saw something about that savings being passed on to people with B passes, the B passes for the connector buses.
Okay, yep, cool. So is there any further discussion on the usage? I guess one thing that has been raised a couple of times is and I think it was raised at the last meeting, just trying to seek more clarification on that occupancy of the King Street flats. Are they going to be no longer required, or are they going to be refurbished in the future?
Through the chair, Phil, do you want to start off with that? Because we've just workshopped the housing for the elderly topic, and I could probably speak with the in terms of the increasing the numbers onto the bowling green area, but I'm going hazy on what we were doing with the refurbs. Have you got? Can you recall the workshop outcomes?
Yeah, look, I'm not 100% sure either. I think where we've got to is that different people threw up a lot of different ideas, and the officers were going away to have an assessment, and exactly where we ended up with that one, I'm not sure. Because of the other ones closing, there was options about, do we get rid of that land? Is that King Street off the top of my head?
Yep. King Street, yep.
Possibly getting rid of that altogether and building with these other ones. There was quite a bit thrown around. Exactly where we landed, I don't know, other than we are waiting back. Can you remember anything more there, Aaron?
Yeah, I think one of them also, wasn't it a Hull site? Was it the King Street one? And
yeah,
that
the
we
two
were
things. The bowling green had some contaminated land issues we need to work through, and I think Catherine Pollard was just working through whether the on-site parking provisions for any refurbs were applicable or not. And I think that's just what his worship said. The officers were going to go away and just have a bit of a regroup around some of those things, because Karen McCarlick had been working on that, and since retired and moved on, and I think we're just sort of picking up the pieces around what compliance matters we still had to, or resource consenting and etc. sort of matters we had to work through.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Yeah, because it just obviously, I'm guessing there's 5 flats. If there's one in there is 20%, so that equates to there being 5, and there's the last time there was 5 being used is pre-2011. So, you know, seeing what's happened with our schools and things around the community when they're not used, the deterioration and you know, the vandalism, well, not the vandalism, but so that, I guess, is a concern that is, as they're not used and they're not looked after, do they become, you know, a greater risk? So, but obviously you guys are onto it. We will wait to hear more progress. I think that just about brings us to the end of our meeting, unless there's any further discussion on those facilities. No. So all those in favour of those report, that facility report being received, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
And that is the conclusion of our meeting.
I will stop the recording.
Okay. Cool. Thank you all for your attendance.
Thank you, Chair.